Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sandra and I'm the designer behind Sandra Stitches, and you are here for some crochet goodness. So today I have a special episode because it's episode number 2 in our series 5 things I wish I knew before. So episode number 1 was about 5 things I wish I knew before I started crocheting in general. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper. So, what do you say? Let's get started. We are talking about yarn and buying yarns today in this episode. So, the first thing I wish I knew about yarns and buying yarns before I started crocheting, and nobody ever told me because you're going on and about your life and you decide one day that you go back to your crocheting and you go into a yarn store and you see all these beautiful, shiny, glittery, all colors, multicolors yarns, and you just want to grab everything. So I think these 5 things are really important to, put in your mind and think about them. So the first thing is that not all yarns are good for beginners. They are not beginners friendly. Excuse my English. Very dark yarn, very bulky yarn, variegated yarn, glittery yarn, sparkling whatever, no. DK sock weight yarn, no. Super chunky, super bulky, macrame, cords, all kind of these yarns, no. Not good, not beginner friendly. Of course they're beautiful and you can make amazing projects with them. But later on, when you're just starting and you are a beginner in crochet, wait for worsted aran yarns, acrylic, 100% if you are okay with it, and light color, so you can actually see the stitches that you are working on. Because when we are just starting and we are beginners, we need to look in each and every stitch to see that we are working okay and that our project is not growing somehow. All right, so this is the first thing I wish I knew. Somebody told me before I went buying yarn for my crochet adventure. Let's get to number 2. Okay, number 2 is, wow, I've done this so many times. Do not buy one skein only. Sometimes we go into the yarn store and we don't really know how much yarn we want for the project, or maybe we just spot a really, really beautiful yarn or a color or a color combination or whatever. And this is not only for beginners, this is for everybody who crochets, and we all know this problem, right? We are in a yarn event, we are in a festival, we go, we travel the world and we go to all different yarn stores around different cities, and we spot this yarn and we say, oh, I want one, but maybe it's too expensive, maybe whatever, and you just buy one skein. Don't do that. Why not? Because one skein is usually going to sit in your stash for very, very long time until you will not know what to do with it. And if you do know what to do with it, and you run out of it in the middle of your project because you did not calculate the exact amount that you need, or you are just at the end of it and you need for maybe 5 more rows and you ran out of it, that's it. Maybe you can go back to the website and order a new one. Maybe it will be there. Maybe it will not be discontinued. Maybe whatever. And then you are going to be so frustrated. So please don't buy just one skein of yarn, special yarn. Try to buy yarns that you know what you're going to use them for, and then calculate how much you will need, and consider that the yarns might be discontinued, and then you can just, come to the end of your project and never finish it, or try to work around it with adding another color or something else, something that you did not want to do in the first place. All right? So this is the second thing I wish I knew about buying yarns before I started. Now let's get to the third one. I'm looking at my paper here so I don't forget what I want to say. Okay, the third one is related to the second one, and it's pretty yarns are not always practical. Now, okay, pretty yarns are not always so practical. Many years ago, I purchased a yarn that was made of banana leaves. It was green, it was a little bit glittery, it was very shiny, kind of, and it was very heavy. But it was beautiful, and I thought to myself, wow, this is so amazing, so ecological, so unique. Okay. I think it took about 4 or 5 years until I decided what to do with it. And after I decided what to do with it, I just, gave it away because it was not something good. It was not something that I could, as a designer, of course it was a piece, it was a very, very skinny scarf and very lacy, because one skein of this yarn was so heavy that there was not so much yardage. And I gave it away, I donated it, and I hope somebody is using it, but as a designer, I could not do anything with it. So pretty yarn, you have to think very, very carefully if it's practical. This one was very heavy. So I think twice or 3 times I asked my group, my Facebook community, which of course you can join. There is a link in the description box. Everybody is invited. It's a free Facebook community. I think we're celebrating 4 or 5 years, and it's amazing there. Anyway, so I think twice or 3 times I asked my community if they have any idea what to do with this kind of yarn, because it was so unique and so beautiful. Okay, pretty yarns are not so practical. So if you need something to be practical that you can use really, and then make a project and use the project, or gift it, and be something that people can actually wear or actually use, take a moment and look at the yarn and see if, besides being beautiful, it's also practical. All right? So this was number 3 of things I wish I knew before I started buying yarn in my crochet journey. Let's go to number 4 is the fiber content of the yarn changes everything. As I told you before, the content of the yarn was banana leaves, some kind of a process they did to the banana leaves. So it became very, very heavy, which is something I did not really know before I ordered it. And by the way, I ordered it online, which was a second mistake, because such a unique yarn, I wish I could see it and feel it before. But even if you don't go to that extreme of buying banana yarn, just think about it. Cotton blend versus 100% cotton. It does all the difference when you're working a bucket hat, right? Because if you're using 100% cotton, so you get a more stiff but sturdy hat. If you use cotton blend, which is sometimes 60% cotton, 40% acrylic or something else, it stretches. So you have to think which yarn you need for which kind of project. I will not use acrylic yarn for a bucket hat, because the bucket hat, usually we will wear it in the summer when we go hiking. Acrylic yarn would be very hot on our head, right? So try to match the fabric content to the project that you are working on. Now, if you go to my website and you see all these free patterns there, which the link of course in the description box, you can scroll my website and you will see lots and lots of patterns, free patterns that I release every week. Sometimes I tell you which yarn I use for the specific project, because I think it's important, or it's a special yarn or whatever. But usually I will just tell you the content and the weight of the yarn that I suggest for you to use. It does not mean that this is what I use for the projects, because as a designer living in Israel, we don't have yarn industry here, so we have to import everything. And because of the situation now that most airlines are not flying to Tel Aviv, so we have an issue. So I usually use what I have at home or what I can grab my hands on, because not so much, and it's very, very, very expensive. So I use the weight of the yarn that I want to suggest for the project, but not always the actual fiber content that I suggest. So, but I will write in the pattern cotton yarn or cotton blend or acrylic or whatever. Usually I do not use wool of any kind. Sometimes alpaca, sometimes, not always, but usually I will use acrylic yarn or cotton blend. So when you're thinking about buying yarn, think about the fiber content per project, if it's suitable, and not just because it says cotton or it says acrylic or it says merino wool or silk or whatever, and it sounds nice, you will go and buy it. Just think about the project. All right, now we have the last thing, the last thought, tip that I wish I knew before I started buying yarns, and that is okay, this is a big one. Yarn sales are not always the best. Who can relate with this? Every time we see a yarn sale, we go crazy, right? Now, as I said, I just I look all the websites, worldwide websites, and I see all the sales and everything, you know, all the coupon codes and everything, and I go crazy. Now, most of them do not ship to Israel, so I can just watch, admire, and be very jealous. But if they do, so I go in and I look at the sales. Now, sometimes the sales are just, you know, make us buy more and more and more. We have to be very, how do you say it in English? I don't know the word, but you know, to be serious with ourselves and with our money, so we don't get this enormous yarn stash. Because sales can be very convincing and very attractive and very make us think, oh yes, I will buy bulk of this kind of yarn because I use it all the time, and so it's cheaper now and whatever. And then for some reason you decide after a while that you don't like that yarn anymore, and then you have a whole stash of it. I know it's hard because sales are very convincing, but I try because I'm human, okay? I try to buy per project. I don't buy for the exact projects because, as I said, I have to import and it's expensive and it takes a long time to come here. So I buy like colors and yarns that I know I will use in next projects. I don't know exactly what the projects will be, but around that, and not a lot of yarn, not because there is a sale. Okay, that's it for today. These were my 5 things I wish I knew before I started buying yarn, and I hope it helped you. Of course, tell me in the comments which one you resonated with you more, you related with more. If you have any new suggestions or new ideas for how about yarn stores, please tell me in the comments. I would love to chat with you. And this is it for today. Please subscribe to my channel so I can continue to bring you more content, and I will see you next time. Bye.